Welcome to another Macintosh Monday. I'm Mike and I'm here to talk about the Apple news. And you know what I'm recording this on? My iPhone 14 Pro. But if you want an iPhone 14 Pro, it might be a little bit difficult to get right now because there is a shortage with the iPhone 14 Pro. So let's just hop right into this first story. So when I first saw this story, it was rumored that it might be due to restrictions due to COVID in China. And Apple has officially come out and said, yes, there is an iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max shortage due to the restrictions in China right now. As of a couple of days ago, it was a 5-day wait for the 14 Pro and then a 25-day wait for the Pro Max. There are two things that are really causing the shortage. Of course, there's the lockdowns in China, like I mentioned earlier, but also apparently the 14 Pro is way more popular than the 13 Pro was. Apparently they've already sold 50% more than what they had sold at this time last year with the 13 Pro. So that's another part of why there's a shortage. This is probably the first major redesign they've had since the iPhone 10 as far as actually changing the notch. They've shrunk it a little bit, but this is kind of a big change. They did the dynamic island, so there's a lot of excitement around the 14 Pro this year, so it makes sense why this phone is more popular. So yes, if you're trying to get one, it seems like it could be 5 days to a month out depending on what model you get. But yes, it is confirmed that there is a shortage right now, so you might just have to be a little bit patient if you're looking to get an iPhone 14 Pro. You know what else might take a while to arrive? The changes they want to make to Siri. There's a rumor going on reported by Mark Gurman. Again, I don't know why I have to mention his name every week, but for some reason he just gets this inside information. So right now, to trigger Siri, you have to say HEY Siri. I'm not going to say it because every time I've said it in videos previously, it's triggered people's assistants and turned on the lights and stuff. So I'm just not going to say the word. But they want to take away the HEY. Well, I can say hey now because I'm not saying the other word after. They want to take away the hey and just have it be Siri that triggers it. So according to the rumor, they're looking to have this done by either next year or 2024, but apparently it's going to take a lot of work to make this change happen and a lot of testing, of course, to get it to work with different accents and things like that. The other thing they want to focus on is apparently getting better third-party app integration with Siri, basically being able to do more app-specific Siri commands. So an example would be like opening Hulu and playing something automatically versus just, being able to open the app with Siri. That seems like that's going to be their next big focus. I think it's just to make it easier to access. But my thing is, there are times when I say Siri when I'm not meaning to trigger Siri. But maybe that's just because I'm a techie and I talk about stuff and I might mention, oh, I'm annoyed with Siri and I wouldn't want Siri to be triggered at that point. So hopefully they give you the option to keep the hey or use it the other way, because I'll probably keep the hey personally just so I don't accidentally trigger it. I have too many accidental triggers as it is, so I don't want to make it easier for accidental triggers. But it is cool that they're working on Siri and improving it. As someone who has switched exclusively to HomeKit for their smart home stuff, it's nice to see that they're still working on bringing more enhancements to Siri. Since we're already talking about Siri and HomeKit, let's bring it to our final story. Let's talk about a smart lock that I've talked about recently, and that is the Level Lock Plus. So the funny thing about this, my friend actually sent me this video because he's followed this YouTube channel for a few years now, the Lock-Picking Lawyer, and he saw that they did a video on the Level Lock Plus. I think he technically did the Level Lock, but it's basically the same thing. The Level Lock Plus is a lock they just stealth launched in the Apple stores that supports HomeKey. It's a second lock in the US that's been released that supports HomeKey, and it basically looks like a regular lock from the outside. That's kind of the appeal of the whole thing. But basically in his videos, he tries to pick locks and see what kind of techniques you can use to pick these locks to see how vulnerable they are. And the Level Lock, it just didn't do well. It was very easy to pick, kind of like a lower level lock. From what he said in the video, he was able to pick it within a couple minutes. So of course that looks bad for a lock that costs $330. So yeah, I saw that video, and then when I was looking for stories for this video, I actually came across a story on 9to5Mac about it because Level actually responded. Basically, Level said that they adhere to standards. They use the same type of cylinder that hundreds of other locks use, and that lock picking only accounts for about 4% of break-ins, according to the FBI statistics from 2019. So basically they're saying they follow the standards that other companies do, and lock picking doesn't even account for most of the break-ins. But I think either way, it kind of looks bad that this lock was picked so easily and it does cost so much. But at the same time, you could argue that you're not really paying for the most secure lock when you're buying a smart lock. You're paying for those smart lock features. But it is good to be aware that if you do decide to buy this lock, that it is relatively easy to pick. The way I've always looked at it is I do have a smart lock, but I also have security because there are also a lot of ways to enter the house besides just picking the lock on the door, there are windows, etc. And even if someone gets through my lock, I will want to have an additional measure that calls the police if someone does force their way into the house. So that's the way that I look at it. Personally, I wouldn't be that concerned about the lock picking aspect of it because I do have a security system. But if you really are relying on the lock to keep your house secure, I would look for a lock that emphasizes security as the feature, not necessarily a smart lock in general if security is your main thing. Not saying that the level lock should be that easy to pick. I really think it's up to you if that's going to deter you from buying it or not. I did look to see if he had done a video on the Slage lock. I didn't find one. But of course, if he does do a video on the Slage lock, I'll be sure to talk about it on the channel because I'm curious about that one. But I could not find one for the Slage and Code Plus. But either way, that's going to do it for this week. But let me know what you think in the comments. Are you waiting for an iPhone 14 Pro right now? Are you excited for the possible changes coming to Siri? Knowing how easy the Level Lock Plus is to pick, would you still consider buying it at $329? Again, let me know in the comments. I'm getting out of here. Everyone have a great rest of their day. Peace.